Tony G and KM Radio and Big Lou on the Sports Book every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. Thank everyone for tuning in. Lots of gambling. College football definitely was crazy. Oregon had a little bit of a problem with Wisconsin. Barely got by, but sometimes that happens. Ohio State marched on, number 2. Texas, number 3, marched on. Georgia, I thought Tennessee going into the half of Tennessee, it was 17-17, and then Georgia just kind of pushed their superiorness, as they say.
Right.
Yeah. And then I was trying to get, let me see. Trying to get this. Let's see. Clemson and, all right.
Clemson has been rolling since the call out about not hitting the transfer portal, and they've been racking out some W's after that.
They have.
They took it to heart.
They took it to heart. That's no lie. Yeah, so a lot of good college ball. Going to the NFL. Yeah, I just hope Kelp Williams, hopefully he don't get wasted in Chicago. Hopefully they get him some help. But we'll see. We'll see. And so we were talking about the 14 points. Man, the Lions, they don't let their foot off the gas.
What a performance. What a performance.
They covered the over by themselves. All by themselves. They didn't need no help. And I was like, wow. I mean, they're going to be a force to reckon with. There's no doubt about that. They definitely can be beat, and we'll get to that in a second because everybody's got somebody that can figure out the scheme. But the Lions and the Jaguars, sunshine. I guess they're going to just implode that at the end of the year.
Yeah, but they got to retain them. They paid them a lot of money.
I don't think he's the problem, though, Lou. I don't think he's the problem.
I'm right there with you. I don't think he's the problem either. And I know some people are going to beg to differ because, well, you got Doug Peterson there. You got, this, you got that. That may be true, but I just think that he has to have the right coach to take advantage of what he's good at. No one has been able to take advantage of what he's good at because he hasn't had the talent there, A, and B, he's been through head coaching carousel, especially the whole Urban Meyer fiasco.
Yes, especially that fiasco.
Right. So you got to reset, and I don't think, although Doug Peterson is a good head coach, I just don't think you got to mesh, and he's not meshing because he has to learn a new offense almost every season.
True that, and Doug Peterson is a good coach, but he may not be the right coach for this particular situation. And that's all.
That's what I think.
Yeah, and they're 2-9. Obviously, they're going to get a bunch of draft choices. The Vikings, they won. They're winning. They're having a good year. Sam Darnold's having a good year. Then that's a perfect example of right coach, right setup. You got you a good quarterback. And so they just keep winning. They're going to the playoffs. The Dolphins and the Raiders, man. I guess the Raiders are done. Put a fork in them.
Yeah, put a fork in the Raiders. They have to do a total reset. Total reset on everything from the front office down needs to change. But I think new coaching, new staff, they got to get some players in. They got to get some veterans in. And although I have much love for Antonio Pierce, I have much love and I like the kind of coach that he is, but I don't think he's the right head coach for them right now. Defensive coordinator, yes, but head coach, not so much.
The proof is in the pudding, as they always say. The Rams and the Patriots, I don't know. The Rams looked terrible a week ago. The
Mm-hmm.
Patriots, I don't know. We say they're moving in the right direction. I just think they're missing so many parts. It's hard to put it on the new coach.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback play isn't terrible. Some people argue me it is. I just think it's a lot about the surroundings.
Yeah, he needs a he needs a young offensive a young innovative offensive coordinator in there to take advantage of all the attributes that Drake may have. Because he's a defensive minded person. So he
Right.
needs to shop, he needs to spend his money good on a great young offensive coordinator.
I agree. And yeah,
And
and I agree. I definitely. So tell me about the Saints. 35-14. All right.
mhm.
And not taking anything away from Derek Carr and the Saints, but James Winston had a hell of a game.
this is
399 yards. It was a hell of a game. I
I
mean,
mean it's, it's he's another one of those quarterbacks that's hard to explain
right,
because he
right.
has all the intangibles. He has all the intangibles. He's a motivator. Uh, he can get on a hot streak from time to time, but um, but the part where it's the winning part. It's the winning game. He's got to master that part of it because
Yeah,
everything
he
else
was
is A1.
is there. He was
Hmm.
30 for 46. I mean, 395 yards. I was like, holy cow, that was a
Right.
can't
Those are
ask.
some good stats. Yeah.
Those are great stats. But good for the Saints because remember we talked
Hmm.
about this. The Saints are in a
Hmm.
position if they can win the next two, they're going to be right there in the hunt
Yeah, they're
because of
right there
what's
in the mix.
happening. Yeah, and that's what they need. They could be in the hunt for. They could actually be in the hunt for a wild card or even the division title. Um,
Hmm.
the Colts and the Jets. They beat the Jets by 1 point. Um, hats off. I think the New York. I mean, you fire the coach, you bring in the talent that the man wants. I think I think at the end of the year you have to separate from Rodgers.
Yes,
I
this is
think.
yeah. This I think this little experiment is over with. They gave you everything you needed plus Devontae Adams, and the team is worse. So so they're basically eliminating what they thought was the problem. Now the truth is there's nothing else there but the truth now. Okay, you got rid of the coach, got him his coordinator that hasn't been proven anywhere, and we got you your receiver. We got rid of one, sent him to Pittsburgh, and we got you the receiver that you want. And we still can't get any W's out of it. So you don't ever put your organization in the hands of a quarterback, regardless of what his accolades are, because this is the result of that.
I mean, he's 40. I mean, he's going to be 41 years old. Um, I mean, you're at the end of the rainbow with him. Yeah, the Jets are, but they've been periodically they've been a bad organization um,
Mhm.
from general manager down. A lot of bad moves, and
Mhm.
a lot of what you always talk about when you switch head coaches, it's always the same thing. Well, that's not my quarterback. That's not nobody ever wants to claim the quarterback. You know what I mean? And
Right,
so
right.
you're always in search of this number one pick quarterback. And it was like, well, somebody's got to work with this quarterback that we have. You know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
get it. I'm not talking about Rodgers, but I'm talking about prior. They've had some
Hmm.
number one picks, and it hasn't worked out.
Nope, the
Um,
Gary Wilson's the Sam. Even Sam Donald couldn't work in the Jets uniform.
sure didn't, and now he's doing
But
okay.
look at him now. Look at him now. You know.
Um,
So.
so what we were talking about earlier is where I'm going with this. So the Steelers, who are proven to be a real deal, they beat the Ravens.
Hmm.
They they held Derrick Henry to 66 yards. T.J. Watt hit him so hard that one play. I thought, ooh, I was like, that was scary. Um,
Absolutely.
and the killing part is Russell had one interception, but I mean he only threw for 205 yards. They played
Right.
Pittsburgh ball, maul you. We're going to keep it tight. We'll be in control
Mhm.
of what's going to happen. Um, and they did. They managed to win, and it's now the Steelers are 8-2. Ravens are 7-4. But I think it showed you something. Is if you, and I know it sounds so easy. If you can shut down Derrick Henry, now you put in Lamar's, but it's
Yeah, you
still a
put it
one.
in his hand.
Yeah, now all of a sudden you made it a one pony show though. Now you got Lamar. You know what I mean? And we already
Hmm.
know Lamar's great athlete, but we don't need him to carry the team. It needs to be a total team effort. Rush
Right, right.
option pass, rush option pass. Um, and this is a big win for Pittsburgh because
Yes,
I
it
was
is.
I was really questioning how legit they are because in the years past they've had a couple of 12 game, 13 game winning seasons, get knocked out in first of the playoffs, but they definitely they definitely proved themselves. Definitely proved themselves. Sunday. They definitely proved themselves. Um, and if you picked Derrick Henry, I think was plus 85, so you lost on that one on the
Hmm.
and then you got the Broncos. Now it seems like the shoe don't fit in Atlanta. And this is what you needed for the Saints. You needed them to
Right.
lose. And
Hmm.
this could be the unraveling of Atlanta.
Hmm.
Um
But we
and you know
said that they don't play good on the road, and then they playing in Mile High. We did say that. So,
we did say
and it
that. That's it.
showed.
That's exactly.
Oof.
And Kurt
Right.
and Kurt only had 27 attempts. He had one interception. Bo Nix had 307 yards, four TDs. He had a great day. And one thing that Sean Payton brings these coaches, and we're going to get to another team, is when he gets there, he starts taking away the stupidness. And what I mean by
Yes.
stupidness, the holding, the bad offsides. He plays real. He's real strict on a lot of penalties, and
Hmm.
we're not going to make
Hmm.
mistakes. And we're going to. So when you start taking that away, all of a sudden you got a really good coach team
Right.
with with good talent, not great, but good talent, good
Hmm.
learnable talent. Um, and the Broncos are 6-5. Um, definitely in a conversation about making the playoffs.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, do I think they're Super Bowl winners? Maybe not, but with Sean Payton back there, I think leading, being the general on the field, as they say, I think they definitely have a good shot because he
Hmm.
knows football. His football IQ is huge, um, and he can definitely make a scheme going against anybody. Hats off to the Broncos. Um,
Hmm.
the Seahawks and the 49ers didn't really see this coming exactly. And it was crazy because the under. Well, there was a couple unders live. It was 30. It was 37. Um, and it was they scored a late touchdown. The Seahawks to
Hmm.
upset the 49ers. And the 49ers are 5-5. Um, it ain't over exactly. They still got more people coming back, but
Hmm.
they're definitely struggling. Um,
Yes. They're
they're
struggling,
def
and their team is getting old. Their team is getting old, and they're struggling. So that means they're going to have to get younger because there's too many teams in the NFC that San Francisco has to worry about. It's not etched in stone because you still got Green Bay. Green Bay's playing good. Minnesota's playing good. That whole NFC, uh, that whole NFC North is playing excellent football, and they have to worry about the teams in their division that could play, that could stump them. Like the Rams might show up and stump them. Even the Cardinals, they'll show up for those games, just like Seattle did, beat them by 3 at home. So these are the games. The division games are the ones you need. and
And when
they
you
just can't get it. Yeah.
you got Arizona at the top, Los
Hmm.
Angeles, everybody else is tied 5-5. So you got Arizona one game up on the Rams, Seattle, and San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
So it's a tight race, and just like you said, it's really, um, it's I mean, it's going to come down until they can separate themselves. And like I said, Arizona starting to play really good ball. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
were been very unpredictable, very hard to gamble with because you never know what team, but they're starting to be consistent, which can make them very dangerous. Um,
Hmm.
so that being said, San Fran's got their work ahead out. It's not just a gimme. You know what I mean? Like it's not a
No, it's
gimme.
gonna
They're
be a
just gonna.
hard right. It's gonna be hard work for them to it's gonna be hard work for them to get in that playoff. It's gonna be hard work.
I totally agree. I think it's going to be a lot more work than they realize. The next game, I'm gonna let you start it off. Then I'm gonna put in my 2 cents. The Chiefs
Okay.
and the Bills. What'd you think?
Hey, Chiefs and Bills. Um, I was of course I picked the Bills
Did you
to
really?
win
Okay,
this game.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
I went with the Bills for the simple fact that there's a there's a small cloud hanging over the Chiefs right now. You know, they've been winning games, but they just had, the football guys just have been on their side these last couple of games that they won because they haven't been there. The record doesn't say so, but the games don't look as clean as we would expect them to be with the record that they have. I think they needed this loss, and I think this was the team that they needed to lose to, to get them back into the into to get them out of the funk and get back into okay, we need to bunker down and play some serious football. Because when you're not playing at your best and you win, if you don't have the motivation to amp up things that you normally do. But the Bills is a team that you're going to see again in the play, and they could very easily do the same thing that they did Sunday night or Sunday afternoon rather. They just look better. Josh Allen made the play he needed to make to score that touchdown for them to win. Um, it was great for me all around to see the execution of the Bills and you know how they stayed in that game with them throughout the whole game. Now, the Chiefs made some plays, but they didn't make enough. And when they couldn't stop Josh Allen from running that touchdown in, because I knew he was going to get one, but that was the most important one. And kudos to the Bills because I went with them to win it. I just had a feeling. I said the Bills are going to win this game. They got to make a statement, and they did. And
I agree.
so happy so happy that they got Amari Cooper
Yes,
because he just
yes,
made it look like he's been there the whole season. But
yes.
that was a good move for the
I agree.
Bills.
I agree. He only had 2 receptions, had 55 yards, had a 30-yard for one. I mean, so what I saw, and I'm not trying to be a homer,
Right?
because that's my team, but I saw the Bills understand what they needed to do. They needed to
Mm-hmm.
be up by more than 7, um, and they did. They got 2 interceptions, one at the late, obviously the late one they got, and they were in control because even at the end, with him coming down the field, they were still in control because it wasn't a 7-point game. He needed another
Right.
score, so
Mm-hmm.
they were in control, and that's something I think that's the key of beating KC is you have to be in control. Where like, yeah, we're up 9, you got a minute left. You know what I mean? If you're going to do this, let's, what I mean. But you got to be in that position. You can't be in the position where it's a 3, 4, 5 point game because
Right.
he pulls out his magic. And he said, if you look at when they ran out on the field, he said, "We'll see you again." And that was
Mm-hmm.
it. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
because they asked Josh, and Josh was like, "Yeah, that's cool. We're going to see each other again." He said, "That's
Yeah.
that." He goes, "That's just." he goes, that's just part of the Bills Kansas City legacy. He goes, we're going to see each other again. And I got to beat, basically I got to beat them again. But that's fine. But at least it's a feather in their cap.
Yeah.
Sean McDermott didn't make any mistakes like he's made in the past. And I know I'm always hard on him, but I understand you make mistakes, especially when it comes time of possession. He's been terrible with time of possession. But and when I mean time of possession, not paying attention to how much time's on the clock. But the Bills held their own at home. Taylor Swift was not there. I didn't know that. She didn't.
I didn't.
Yeah. So they kept saying that they thought she was there, but you notice they never showed it. If you watch the game, and it was held.
Right.
I read today she wasn't there because in the playoffs, and this is what I'm reading. I'm just reading back to what when they beat us in the playoffs last year. Apparently, I don't know. I guess there was a couple other. I think there was a group of the Bills' wives that was giving her the business. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know how women can be. So she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stay away." Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the next thing is who's gonna have home field advantage? We're right there with the home field. We're 9-2. They're 9-1. So let's we just got to take it game by game. But it showed you that the Chiefs can be beat. We can be beat. There's no doubt about it. You just got to play. Like Andy Reid's he's a mastermind. So yeah, I'm not.
Right.
The Chiefs are fine. So that being said, the Bills had a really really good win. They needed it, and like Mahomes said, I'm glad we're done. I ain't got to worry about the perfect season. I don't need to worry about that.
Right.
So we'll go forward, and so that was spoken out of a true champion's mouth. But that was like I said, that was a hell of a game. The last game is the Chargers and the Bengals. This was player prop. I mean, like I said, you had Joe Burrow, 3 TDs. He needed 1.5. Could have won even more money if you picked the 3. Higgins went off. Chase missed his yards by 2.5. But he got
killed. He killed.
I know. I was like, really? Yeah.
I was like, come on, 2 yards.
But Higgins paid well for his yards. But Chase paid well for his anytime touchdown. T. Higgins paid for his anytime. I mean, Joe Burrow threw for 356 yards with no interceptions.
And I don't know why I didn't go high on his passing yardage in that game. I should have went high. Because I wanted to be safe. I got punched in the stomach twice. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be safe with the Bengals Chargers. And almost got there. I almost got there.
And so, talking about coaching, and so if you watch the Chargers a couple years ago, they had the talent. They just made a lot of stupid interceptions, holding, offsides. But now they got that kind of coach that we don't play that. And so now the Chargers are playing very good fundamental team football, which is just kind of what Harbaugh brings. He's not tolerating. We're not tolerating a bullcrap offsides or pass interference, and that's where now he did get sacked 2 times for 17 yards. I'm sure that's going to be brought up at their meeting, but all in all, the Chargers are playing really good team football.
Absolutely.
They're not making a lot of mistakes. And they're going to be they're another one in the AFC. You got them, you got Pittsburgh, you got the Bills, you got Kansas City, you know what I mean? You got Miami's trying to come back with and you got the Ravens. So the AFC is loaded with a lot of good teams. It's going to make for a very interesting playoffs. I just hope because we've said this, and I'm going to repeat it again. Me and Lou talked about this a couple years ago that people thought we were a little crazy. I said, you're going to see a decline in Joe Burrow. Not Joe Burrow, but the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is going to ball. He could be the next. I mean, Marino balled for all the years he played. He never went anywhere. He went to one Super Bowl rookie year, and from there it was like in 12 years we couldn't have figured out what he needed. And that's how. And, the other thing is Burrow is getting hit. He's getting
too much.
Yeah, way too much.
Way too much. So that should be priority number one. Get some offensive linemen in there. Go to Wisconsin. Go to Utah. Go to Ohio State. Go to SEC. Get some big dogs that can get in the trenches and protect this man so that he can be the quarterback that we all know that he is. He needs protection bad. They need to start inside out with Cincinnati. You got all the exterior weapons. You need to get that interior fixed.
Absolutely, because you don't want him to be another Andrew Luck. We're just
absolutely.
I'm done. I've just taken too much abuse. I played 9 years. Because by the time Burrow, if he plays 8 years, he would have made enough money. It wasn't. They're going to pay him. It's not about him not having enough money. But at some point, it's just like I'm just doing this, for. Kind of like the Barry Sanders situation. Now he's come out and he's talked about why he quit, and you take all that abuse and you're not going anywhere. You're putting up all these numbers, and Joe Burrow put up 356 yards with 3 interceptions. I'm sorry, 3 touchdowns, but for nothing. It was for a loss. So that being said, you got to make them feel like they're playing for something. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. And remember, if you guys want to reach us, hit us up on our Facebook Sportsbook page, our KM Radio Facebook page. If you have an event, if you have anything that you like the show to talk about, we're always here promoting local businesses, local events. You just got to hit us up, let us know, just to be on. So we know, all right, when we get back, we're going to talk about the week coming up, and it's going to be a crazy one. All right, right here on KM Radio, where we go ham.
Yeah.
KM Radio, your boy Tony G and Big Lou, Sportsbook every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. Got a lot of good games this week. A lot of good gambling. Thursday night game is going to be Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns. Now, for some reason, this is always a tough game. All right, conference game. The over's 36. I like the over because Pittsburgh has proven they can score points. Got to look at who's out. Now, I will tell you this. Look at Winston's prop bets because they may not win.
He'll put his numbers up. Yeah, he's going
to put his numbers up because he's a thrower. He definitely can put. But I believe even though this is a conference game, Cleveland's playing at home. I think Pittsburgh's going to be too much because, like I said, this is a different Pittsburgh team. They got their ability to throw the ball down the field has changed. So it's a whole different team. Now, granted, they were playing the Ravens, which defense is a lot better than Cleveland's defense. And Cleveland's going to play them tough, but I like Pittsburgh minus the 3.5.
Right.
I'm leaning towards the over. I got to look at it some more, but I definitely like Pittsburgh. I think they're just going to be too much. Their running game. Yeah.
Too much TJ Watt.
Yeah. But I do, like I said, I like Pittsburgh. And I like Winston. Just check out his yardage. Just to try to see if he's at the 220, 230. He definitely would be a good bet because he's gonna put up some numbers. Check out um, some receivers numbers. Definitely going to be a good prop day on this one. Minnesota and Chicago Bears. Who you like?
Mm. Uh, I'm liking Minnesota in this game. Caleb Williams is still a rookie quarterback, and the Vikings defense is going to be it's going to be too much for them. It's going to be too much for them. Their defense coordinator, uh, he comes from the Mike Tomlin tree. He was
Right.
excellent. Their defense was excellent when he was in Miami, and they're playing sound football right now in Minnesota. So he's going to develop some packages and stuff for Caleb. He likes to hold on to the ball too. So I don't predict a good day for Caleb with this Minnesota defense. And now the Bears defense is nothing to shake a stick at, but I believe with Jefferson and uh, and the running back that the Vikings have, they're a division team. I just think that they're going to get out coached and outplayed on Sunday. I just feel like that the Vikings are going to take it.
See, and I agree with you. I think the Vikings are going to be a little bit too much. Um, they've had, like I said, it's going to be a tight game, but I think if you could definitely, if you're going to take the Vikings, go in and take the hook off it, the
Hmm.
-5, and try to get it to 3. You're going to give up.
Yeah.
You're going to give up. You're going to give up something, but definitely try to get it because I hate the hook. The hook's always the hook taketh and the hook giveth, and I think
Hmm.
and so I like the Vikings at -3, not 3.5. And this could look at all your injury reserve, look at all your injuries, make sure everyone's playing. Because this could be this line can change by Sunday. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. But I definitely like Minnesota. Um, the over, I can see this being a grungy game. Um, I definitely can see it being a grungy game. So I'm not 100 on the over. Um,
Hmm.
the under's 39.5. Um, but no, I like Minnesota.
Okay.
Next game is Detroit Lions -7.5. Indianapolis Colts. Um, definitely like the over. The variable of Detroit, the way they score. Um,
Hmm.
and the thing about Detroit that makes them so dangerous is he just never lets his foot off the gas. I mean, they lost. That man threw 5 interceptions, and he found a way to win. And
Yeah.
I mean, and the defense. So quarterbacks having a bad, offense is having a bad night. So what does the defense do? They step up their game, shut it
Hmm.
down. 23 points. That's all you're getting. You're not.
Yeah.
And they had scored 23 points quick, and that was it. There was no more.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, he's I mean, he'll send 7. He'll send 8. I mean, I've seen him send 8. I mean, he'll full the box. I mean, it's crazy, and he'll go. I mean, and it's going to take a special team to beat him because he'll
Hmm.
go for it. He ain't afraid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not. He's not afraid. He's definitely not afraid of the. And so one thing we didn't talk about with the Ravens, um, skipping back and forth. I forgot. I mean, do you think they shouldn't have went for 2? They had to go for 2.
Where they had to. Yeah. So in that scenario, yeah, I would have sent them. I would send my package in for a 2 point conversion too.
You had to. I mean, that was just
Hmm.
you had to go for the win,
Right.
and the stats. I guess you got to look at the analytics of the 2 point conversion.
Hmm.
Um, and I know a lot of people. That's one thing that Detroit looks at is the analytics. That's why he goes for it so much on 4th down,
Right.
and why he does the fake punts, and he does so many things. Now, granted, analytics are great, but there is a day when they bite you in the butt. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's definitely, but the way Detroit's playing, I know the Colts have a pretty decent team. Quarterback's not playing bad. Provided no injuries, take the hook off this. Another one, take the hook off it. I mean, you gotta like Detroit -7. Going. I mean, right now you gotta like the Detroit minus whatever. The way they're playing. So, that being said, I think Detroit in the over. Maybe not together, maybe not as a parlay. Sometimes that comes back and bite you. But definitely look at the running backs, how many yards he needs for Detroit, because he can put some yards up. But definitely like Detroit and the over. The Cowboys and the Commanders. They got the Cowboys +10. I mean, this is a conference game. You got Cooper Rush. The only thing, so the deal with the Cowboys with me, is I don't know if I say this, I'm saying this, have the Cowboys gave up as a team. That's the part. And that's the part that.
Yeah. I feel like they gave up on Mike McCarthy being their head coach. That's definitely not working. Because it's hard to listen to your head coach when none of his philosophies is working on the team. But it goes hand in hand. He comes up with the schemes. They have to be executed. But you lost your starting quarterback. He's on crutches. Dealing with, two backups. One of them is just incapable. He's just not ready for the NFL. And Trevor Lawrence, not Trevor Lawrence, but in
Jordan.
What's his name?
I just went blank too.
I just had a blip, but Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance, Cooper Kupp,
and Cooper Rush. Yeah. So, together they can't make one solid quarterback. So it's going to be blitz heavy. Watch this going to come with it, because they know it's going to rattle those guys. And it's just bad year for the Cowboys. There's too much turmoil. You got the owner of the team is the most valuable person on that team, and I think that that hurts them, because of the fact that there's an open door there. There's no respect for the coach there. There's no respect for the head coach. I believe that's why they can't get the production that they think they should have or that they want, is because that door is friendly upstairs, and you got to be a coach that tolerates that, but it's hard when you don't have full control of the team. Everybody knows that. If I'm a teacher and if I'm in a class and I got a teacher teaching the class, but I know I can go to the principal, if I cut up in class, I just go to the principal and get a slap on the wrist and I'm back in class. Then I'm not going to have any respect for him, because I already know that there's an out. And that's what football players do. They look for any advantage that they can, to get the results they want. And that's just what the problem is. He's got to let the coaches have it, but he doesn't. He wants to be the face of the Cowboys.
Well, I think the other problem with that is, you get rid of McCarthy. Okay, good. All right, fine. Blame him. Who do you get? And if you do get a top tier coach, they're not going to tolerate, number one, your input. Number two is,
right.
I have a insubordinate player. I'm not tolerating that. So that's what you get when you get top rate coaches. They're not tolerating that. You know what I mean? They're not going to fit into your program there. And
no.
All that talking that Diggs does and Parsons does, and I'm just saying this. I don't know. We don't know these people personally, but as far as a team, that kind of talk and negative talk and saying stuff, that starts dividing a team, which doesn't need to be divided. That's not what
Right.
needs to happen. That could all happen behind closed doors. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing that social media is taken away. Like you can argue with the coach behind closed doors, but in front of the cameras, it needs to be, man, whatever coach says we're going to do, we're going to make
Mm-hmm.
this, one day at a time. Hopefully, you give them the Tiger Woods speech. You
Yeah.
don't have
The
it. You
respect
don't
has to
have.
be there.
Yes, you don't give the. Well, I'm going to say whatever I want to say, and there's nothing that can happen to me, and that's like you said, that's the biggest problem with that's the biggest problem with Dallas is they got a personnel problem, and it goes from the
Yeah.
players to, yeah, and so it's not going to get any better because we've seen, you guys have had all these stars. You won 13 games, and you've
Mm-hmm.
been knocked out of the playoffs immediately. Um, that has someone to blame,
Right.
and I think more of the blame goes on the players than more player. No more of the blame needs to go on the players, but that's not how it works in Dallas. But hey,
Right.
um, hey, on to the next one. Kansas City -11 over Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not saying, but this is one of those games where Carolina could get up to play them, not to
Mm-hmm.
beat them, but that could cover that spread. So this is one of those
Yeah.
games that I don't like. Um,
Right.
and I watch Kansas City, and if I'm wrong, that's fine. I can live with that. It's one game that I may stay away from because the spreads. Like I believe Kansas City is going to win the game, but are
Mm-hmm.
they going to win the game by 11? And
Right.
this is another spread that could easily, depending on how the action goes, the spread could change. And like I said, Kansas City, they've been winning, 7 here, 3 there. I mean, they're winning, but like you said, the offense and Carolina is in a position, and believe me, they know their position. This is where we're like, hey man, we ain't got nothing to lose. And that makes
Right.
for a very dangerous, uh, opportunity. They can play them tough, and Kansas
Right.
City win by 3. That being spread, I don't really like to. I don't really like to spread.
Right.
Um, and then if you look at the money line, it's -660. That's you can't. You're not going to bet $660 to win 100. That
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
No.
But this is one of them games that I would stay away from. Um, and I'm sure somebody out there is listening and go, "Oh, they're crazy." Maybe I am. I'm just here to try to make some money. Now
Right.
the next game is Tampa Bay, New York Giants. Tampa Bay, I know is the record doesn't reflect it, but they have played their hearts out, and that's a pretty good team. And New York is in disarray. They got my guy, they got my Italian quarterback Tommy Cutler going to be playing. I think they benched.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, end of the day, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a way better team. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I know their record doesn't reflect it because they've lost some tight games to some really good
Right.
teams. And
Right.
so I like Tampa -5. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I like Tampa -5 going in. Um, Even though they're going into now, here's another factor that we got to think about is going into New York. You got to check the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it's not going to be 32 degrees or rain. Like I said, we're getting into November. This is when the weather
Right.
starts changing, and this is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming from Tampa, and it could be a little, sometimes, or if there's a bad rainstorm, which all happens on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to kind of look, and definitely some player props, um, see what they got, and kind of go from there. But I like Tampa. New England and the Dolphins. New England and the Dolphins. Um, Miami's playing. They're coming off a win. This is a conference game. They usually play each other pretty tough. It's a
Mm-hmm.
7 point. It's a 7 point game. Um, it's another. Like I said, I look for 2-3 bets. You know what I mean? Then I
Mm-hmm.
cut it down. I ain't betting every game. People
Right.
kill me with the yeah. People want. Oh man, man? There's a lot of games. I'm looking for the easiest one ever. But I'm not
Right.
against. I'm not against New England +7 to give Miami a little bit tougher only because it's a conference game and they know each other
Right.
well. They fired up for this game. Um, I mean, Buffalo and Miami play tough. Buffalo and New England play tough. They're conference
Mhm.
games. They know each other well. Um, and here's another thing about and this is a stat that's not. I'm not saying this is a proud stat, but you got to worry about Tua getting a concussion.
Yeah, because it seems like that he's voluntarily trying to get him. I mean, there has to be some awareness sooner or later. You know, I don't think he values, I don't think he sees the value in his position or how valuable he is to the team. Because I understand you want to make a play and you want to earn the respect of your team. You've earned the respect because when you were out, they were a dumpster fire. So you've earned the respect of your team. Just be safe and play quarterback. You don't have to run out there and make a tackle. That's not your job. Your job is to stay healthy. So, stop trying to be a defensive back. And if you throw an interception, you throw an interception. But don't put yourself in harm's way, especially the way you do, when we know the severity and how easily, concussions, how you get in these situations. So he has to have a little bit more of awareness for himself. It's about you got to
So,
last for your team.
a lot of people are like, well, anybody can get hurt. Yes, but he has a history of concussions. So, and we know without him, the Miami Dolphins are not the same Miami Dolphins at
It
all.
does. It does.
Game over.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not against New England +7 because this. I mean, I'm not wishing any bad luck on anybody, but the kid has
No.
got, and he's a young guy, and I get
Mm-hmm.
it. You're a young guy. You're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
You got something to
You're
prove.
it. Yeah, yeah. We
Prove,
all been.
yeah.
Yeah,
Prove
we
to
all
me
been
that you can
there.
stay in the game and win us the game with your talent. We don't need you to tackle. You're not playing defense. You're a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's where we need your confidence in. We don't need your heart. In other words, we need your knowledge and your abilities. We know you got the heart.
So like I said, I like the Patriots +7 because of
Mm-hmm.
some variables. Um, Next game is the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans. Uh, I like the Texans. Um, like I said, they've got some injuries, but they're starting to get some people back.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee's in a rebuild. They've let everyone go. They
Yeah.
still play tough football. I'm not taking anything from them, but I like
Mm-hmm.
Houston. Uh, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't maybe tweak that down to 5. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against
Yeah.
that. Um, I'm definitely not against that. But I think Houston's just got too much for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's got a pretty decent defense. The problem is they'll be on the field too much, um,
Right.
with no help from the offense. And like I said, you will. I like the Texans. Denver Broncos, Los Angeles Raiders. Should be a really good game. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because again, this is a rivalry game, so this is going to be a tough game. But
Mm-hmm.
I think due to where the Broncos are at and where the Raiders are at, the Raiders are
Yeah.
in a bad spot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're just not like they're going to get up, and they beat the Ravens earlier in the year, and they'll surprise you every now and then. But I just think
Mm-hmm.
Denver going into Los Angeles, coming off a big win, and again,
Mm-hmm.
Denver's got Sean, and Sean's got that team playing as one, like he did with the Saints. He's got
Yeah.
them playing good football, just
Mm-hmm.
good basic football. Doing the basics, not anything. We're not really doing anything out of the norm. We are
Right.
just playing good basic football, not taking a lot of penalties. So I like Denver going into Las Vegas. Um, wouldn't be surprised if after this game, I don't know. I was about to say something. I probably should. I mean, I don't know if the Raiders lose again. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a new head coach. I wouldn't be
I wouldn't be surprised.
surprised.
Yeah, yeah, I
It,
agree.
would, it would, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that much and go, wow, I can't believe that happened because they've just lost too much and they're just in too much disarray. Um,
Right.
but like I said, I like the Broncos coming into the Raiders -5. San
Hmm.
Francisco and Green Bay. What's your thoughts on this? You got San Francisco coming off a loss. You got Green Bay playing at Green Bay. So this is a game where I would stay away from. Too tough to
Yeah.
call.
Right.
I
Too tough
don't,
to
you know,
call
yeah.
because
I mean,
Green
I
Bay's
know,
going to show up at home,
yeah.
but Nick Bosa is, the defense is playing a little bit more solid with the 49ers, and
McCaffrey's back.
McCaffrey's back, and they still have Kittle and Debo and those guys. So this is a hard game to call. I might just do player props on this one because I know that the players are going to make they're going to hit their stats. They're going to pick. So I'll probably do this one player props. It's hard for me to decide an outright victor in this game because it could go either way. Green Bay could show up and shut down the 49ers offense, or the 49ers can catch fire and take it and put the ball in their corner. So,
Yeah, and the over's 48.
hmm
Um, and Green Bay's playing at home. And, you know, like on the over, I think I would have to again check the weather out um, and see what is possible. I mean, if
hmm
it's not storming, um, but it's definitely one of them games where you just go, "Hey, there's got to be an easier pick than this."
right.
I mean, they're favoring, like I said, they're favoring Green Bay by 1.5, which is which could be a trap. They're playing at home. Usually, the
hmm
home is worth 3. This time, it's only worth 1.5. I mean, Green Bay's coming off a win. San Francisco's coming off a loss. It is a must win for San Francisco. They got to keep it in gear. They got to
hmm
stay pace in order to, like I said, it's so close in that division.
Right.
Um,
They're going to have to get back above 500.
yes, I definitely agree. Now, the last game, I'm surprised some people might say this, but I like Arizona going into Seattle.
I do too.
Yeah, I like the way they're playing.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, Geno Smith, uh, Seahawks are the Seahawks. They can be beat at home. Arizona's playing Arizona's playing good ball. Now this is another one that you gotta watch. You gotta check the weather out because to me
Hmm.
it changes. It's a pick 'em anyway. It's a pick 'em. It's not a but cold, too cold and too rainy. I'm staying away from it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that Seattle's kind of that Seattle plays in that. Arizona don't
Hmm.
really play in that. I don't really like, um, I don't like his passing ability in that circumstance. Um, this is one of those games where, and if it's 40 degrees and the sun's out, I like Arizona. If it's going to be 40 and it's going to be rainy and it's going to be gritty, I probably stay away from this. Have to
Hmm.
look at the over under 47.5. Um, and just kind of look at like I said, just definitely check out the honors. And remember,
Right.
we're on every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. Tony G, Big Blue. Like I said, if you want to reach out to us. We have a Facebook page, Sportsbook, and we got the KHAM Radio. We do special. Like I said, we try to announce. We try to support local businesses. We have quite a few sponsors. We got Big Robbie and Robbie's
Hmm.
Billiards, King of the Diamond Table, SI Motorsports, right there at the beginning of Benton Road. Go by and see him. Tell him Big Lou, Tony G sent you. Once Upon a Diamond on Piermont and Fairfield. Check them out. Like I said, tell them Tony G and Big Lou sent you. We got all kinds of sponsors. If you'd like to be a sponsor, reach out to us on our Facebook page. Call the office. Someone will get right back with you. Um, and just kind of take it from there. We got Like I said, we got a lot of good stuff coming. It's hard to believe we're already in. What are we in? Week. What is this, Lou?
We are
Week of
in week 12.
we, golly.
We are in week
Hard,
12. Just that fast.
just like that, the season. Golly, we were waiting for the season to come, and now the
Hmm.
season is beyond 60%, and then that's crazy. All right, man. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank Big Lou. Thank our KM Radio family over there. E-Law working the board for us, making it all possible. All right, we'll check you all out next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock on KM Radio, where we go ham.
Yeah.